All right, so the next part is, now that we know how to graph a linear inequality, we have to talk about what a solution is. Because usually when we just graph a regular line, the solution is only on the line, but now it's could be on the line or in the shaded part. So solutions are in the shaded area or on a solid line. If it's a dashed line, that does not count as a solution. Okay, so you're looking for shaded area or solid line only. If it's not on either of those things, then it is not a solution. So here we go. Which of these are solutions to this inequality? So we're going to plot these points on the graph because this one already graphed the inequality for you. And we're going to say, okay, well, is it in shaded or on solid? So 2 comma negative 3. So we know 2 comma negative 3. That means it's right there. Is it in the shaded? Yes. So this is yes, it's a solution. The next one, negative 4 comma 5 is up here. Is that in the shaded? No. Is it on a solid line? No. So this is not a solution. Let's look at the next one. 0 comma negative 3. Well, 0 and then negative 3 is down here. Is it in the shaded? Yes. So then yes, this is a solution. New color. Negative 3 comma negative 1. So negative 3 comma negative 1 is right here. Is that in the shaded? No. Is it on a solid line? No. It's on the line. But this is a dashed line, so that does not count. So that's a no. And then last one, 1 comma negative 6 is over 1, and then negative 6 is down here. Is that in the shaded? Yes. So then, yes, that's a solution. So our answers were this one, and this one. All solutions. And if you look at your picture, that's like you can tell which ones are a yes and a no. Are they in the shaded part? That's how we know. All right, let's look at the next one. Number 2, which of these are solutions? So this time they gave you the graph, but they did not graph it for you. So you have to be able to graph this on your own. So we know that to graph it, we start with our y-intercept. In this example, our y-intercept is positive 6. So I'm putting my first dot on positive 6 up there. And then my slope is negative 2. So I'm going to label that slope. Was negative 2. I make it a fraction by putting it over the number 1. So if the top was negative, that means I need to go down 2. And positive 1 means to the right 1. So I'm going down 1, 2, over 1, put a dot. And I repeat, down 2, over 1, put a dot. And I continue doing that pattern because I need to fill up the whole graph so I know which part to shade. And I'm out of space. So now I'm looking at my symbol over here. Does that mean I'm going to do a solid or dashed line? I see the extra line. That means it should be solid. And I see that it is opening to the left side over to the Y. And that's going to tell me I'm going to shade up. So let me get my little line tool over here. And it's on a solid line. So I'm going to connect these points. Beautiful. And I'm going to shade. And we said we're going to shade up. So we start on our y-intercept. We go up. So that means I should be shading over here. Shaded. Okay. Now we do the next part where, I got to check. I got to plot my points and see, are they in the shaded or on a solid? So negative 3 comma 5. So I go over negative 3, up 5 dot. Is that in the shaded? No. So that's not a solution. Let's check the next one. 5 comma 3. I go over 5, up 3, put a dot. Is that in the shaded? Yes, it is. So I put a yes. Next one, 4 comma negative 2 is right here. Is that in the shaded? No. Is it on a solid line? Yes, it's on the line, and this line is solid. So that's a yes. Got to be a solid line, not dashed. And then last one was 2 comma 3 is right there. Is that in the shaded? Barely, but yes, it is in the shaded, so that's a yes. So these were all solutions, and this one was a no. Okay. Last one. Now this is what they like to put on the STAR test. So they said the equation 2x minus y equals 2 is graphed. So they did it with an equal sign. So they graphed it normally. And then they say, which of the following are solutions to, and then they change it to one of our symbols. So I don't need to worry about, like, how do I graph it? Like, what's the y-intercept and what's the slope? Because they've already done that work for me. What I need to figure out is it a solid or dashed line? Because they're always going to put solid because they put an equal sign. But it's not always, we know that this does not always mean solid. So I got to figure out solid or dashed. And then am I going to shade up or down? So first, I need to notice that this is not solved for y. So if I was going to solve for y, we need to check, would I flip my symbol when I solve for y? So you could go through full on and solve for y. Like, oh, I would subtract 2x to the other side and then divide. But I know, and I know that there's a shortcut. What am I checking? I'm checking, is your y, because whatever is next to y, that's what you would be dividing by. So I'm checking, is this negative? Yes, that's a negative y right there, okay? So if it's negative, then that tells me I would flip when I solve. We know that's the rule. If you divide by a negative, it flips. So since it is flipping, then that means it would be like this. This is what my symbol would look like. So if that is my symbol, then should I pick a solid or dashed line? Well, it does not have the extra line underneath, so I'm going to pick dashed. So I'm going to write that on this line that this is supposed to be dashed, just so I don't accidentally think, oh, it's a solid line. And then I see that the mouth is opening to the right side, and I know that means I should be shading down. So I'm going to go ahead and shade down. So here's my y-intercept, point down. I should shade this side. Great. Okay, and now I'm still doing the same process. I plot the points on here, and I figure out, is it a solution or not a solution? So here we go. The first one, 1 comma 4 is right there. Is that in the solid? No, it's not in the solid. So this is not a solution. How about 3 comma 5? I went over 3, up 5, put a dot. Is that in the solid or in the shaded? No. So that's not a solution. How about -1 comma -4? -1, -4 is right here. It's on the line. Is this a solid or dashed line? We said it's supposed to be dashed. So if it's dashed, that means this is not a solution. And then the last option, 1 comma -4, is that in the shaded? Yes, it is. So then this is our answer. So that's the big takeaway. You need to know solutions are in the shaded or on a solid line. Otherwise, you may go ahead and start the formative on solutions.